It's your girl Cheryl. If you're new, welcome to the and if you're returning, hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Cheryl. If you're new, welcome to the C Squad. Over here we cover all things transfer student and living your best life as an international student in the UK. So if you like the sound of that, then hit the subscribe button below, follow me on Instagram, and join the fam. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for joining me again. So today I have a really exciting video. This video is for all my grade 9s and grade 10s, which is super fun because when I do my high school content, it's usually for like the grade 11s and the matrics. So yeah, I've got a video for you guys, and this is just going to be a video on how to choose your grade 10/high school subjects, because I know that's a really difficult decision to make. I'm actually not entirely sure when you guys have to fill out the paperwork. I feel like it was around September, but I could be wrong. But even if you've already picked your subjects, I feel like you have until the end of grade 10 to really decide and stick to what you're going to do. So this will still be useful for you even if you are in grade 10. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. Now, my first tip is that you have to think about your future career path. And I know you're only like 15. When I was in grade 9, I was 14, so obviously you don't have your life all the way thought out, but try when you're picking your subjects to make them as broad as possible so that you have more options. Don't limit yourself. I know for a lot of people, they may be struggling with pure maths and just wanting to drop it and do maths lit. That really does limit your choices when it comes to degrees though, because most degrees require that you have at least 50 or 60% in maths. Certain degrees require you to have physical sciences or life sciences. I know at UCT I figured out, I think towards the end of my grade 11 year, that at UCT for them to calculate your, they don't call it an APS, they call it a faculty admissions point, whatever. Their system to calculate how you can get into the Faculty of Science, because obviously I wanted to study computer science, is that they take all of your percentages and they double your maths mark and your physical sciences mark. And basically if you didn't do physical sciences, then they can double your IT mark. However, I didn't do IT in high school, and I only figured this out towards the end of grade 11, and it was too late to change. So basically I wouldn't have had enough points to get into the university, not because my grades weren't good, like in matric I got 7 distinctions, but just because I didn't do IT. So that double percentage was really important for me to have for IT. So yeah, they're just things like that. So in my case, if I had applied to UCT, I wouldn't have been able to get into computer science. I would have only been able to get into archaeology and geographical sciences, that kind of thing. So while thinking about your future career path, also look at the university that you want to go to. Luckily for me, I didn't really want to go to UCT, so it wasn't like a heartbreaking thing of like, oh no, I won't be able to go to UCT, because I wasn't really planning on going anyway. Not that there's anything wrong with UCT, I just personally didn't want to live in res, and I knew if I went to Cape Town I'd have to live in res, so that's why I chose to go to Wits so I could stay home. You get my logic? So yeah, so you do definitely need to look at the different universities, how they calculate things, what subjects they require, and try to make your subject choice as broad as possible so that you have more options available to you. My next tip is to be realistic with yourself, okay? Because if you are towards the end of your grade 10 year and you are failing maths, continuing to do maths is not going to be a viable situation, because you're probably not going to get the minimum entry requirements for most degrees. So in those cases, then I feel like doing maths lit would be a better option, because there's no point in doing a subject if you're just going to end up failing it. Because the reality of the situation is things do not get easier at university. I did pretty well in high school maths, and it's not that I didn't do well in university maths, but it was a lot more challenging than obviously high school. So things do not get easier if you're already struggling to pass science, like you're literally like in the 40s, then going to university and studying a degree that has something to do with physical science is probably not going to be the best option. So you really need to be realistic with yourself and with your grades. With that being said, don't quit too soon though. You should know when a subject is just no longer viable, or whether in that subject you can still push yourself. For example, when I was in grade 10, guys, I don't know, I feel like grade 10 was honestly, I don't know if it was the most challenging year, but it was the grade where I had my lowest marks. That could also be though because our school was changing from GDE to IEB, so basically the way that we were being taught and the type of questions we were being given were quite different to how high school had been in grade 8 and 9. So I really struggled in grade 10, and I remember I wrote accounting. And oh, by the way, in case you guys don't know, everyone always asks me this. Frequently asked question is, what subjects did I do? I did accounting, AP maths, CAT, and French and Afrikaans, in case anyone wants to know. So it is the end of grade 10 and I've really been struggling with accounting at this point. And I remember I got, I think, 60% on the dot for my final exam. And I remember my accounting teacher at the time being like, if you got 60 or above, you know, that's pretty good. And I was looking at her like, you think 60% is good? You think that I can take this 60% to my African parents and they're gonna be like, oh, good job. I was like, that is not going to fly. So yeah, it was one of those things, but I did notice that my grades went up in grade 11. They went up to the 70s, I think like early 70s, like 71, 72. And then in matric, I ended up doing pretty well, and it was like my third highest subject, accounting was. So don't quit too soon. I think a subject is salvageable if you're at least in the 60s. So if you're looking at your accounting marks and you're thinking 60s in grade 10 and that's not doing so well, chances are by matric you can get it up to a 70. So you should only really consider not doing a subject if you're getting like less than 40, like if you're actually really struggling to pass. The next thing you should do is take a career aptitude test or meet with a career guidance counselor. I remember in grade 9, like at the beginning of grade 9, we did take an aptitude test and it came back pretty much saying that I would be suited for like business management, accounting, that kind of thing. So I went with it, guys, because like in grade 8 and 9, I really enjoyed EMS. By the way, EMS and accounting, two completely different things. Accounting is flames, but yeah, I was really enjoying EMS. So I was like, oh, I kind of want to be an accountant. I have an accountant in my family, and so I kind of looked up to her and I was like, I think accounting is something that I can do. So if you're looking at my subjects and you're wondering where they all fit in, basically in my mind when I was picking my subjects, I was picking it for the career of accounting and not for computer science, which again, I feel like limited myself, so I wish I had broadened my options. But yeah, you can take career aptitude tests. I disagree with mine now. I don't want to be an accountant, so clearly I got over that dream quickly. By the time we got to finals in grade 10, I was over the accounting thing. But you can definitely look at them and see what kind of things you gravitate towards. Now, after you get that test, you should definitely go job shadowing. Like, I literally wish I had shadowed an accountant because I think I would have realized very quickly that it was not for me. Job shadowing will allow you to see if your idea of that job is actually what it's like, or if you're just basically putting it on a pedestal and it's just like a dream job in your mind, and then you get there and you realize that it's actually a nightmare. So definitely job shadow if you're able to. Then guys, for this next one, please listen carefully to me. Do not drop and change subjects the entire time. Like, I literally know people who probably did every single high school subject that you can probably do. Like, please don't do that. I think it is only appropriate to drop and change subjects if your career path is changing. So for me, probably when I realized I wanted to do computer science, I realized it a little bit too late. I realized it at the end of grade 11. But if I had realized it at the beginning of grade 11, then I feel like it would have been a good change for me to change from CAT to IT. That's something that makes sense. But please do not drop and change subjects because you don't like a subject. I don't know where people got this idea. School sucks. School is not fun. School is the pits. But we all have to go and do it. It's impossible to go to school and enjoy all of your subjects. In matric, the only subjects I enjoyed were CAT and maths. 2 out of my 8 subjects, guys. A quarter of the subjects that I was attending every single day are the only ones that I liked. And it really is what it is at the end of the day. The problem with people chopping and changing up subjects is that you're going to get to university and you're going to realize that you have prerequisites. You have to do certain courses in order to get your degree. And most times than not, you're probably not going to like those courses. I remember in first year at WITS, I really enjoyed my computer science courses, but to be honest with you, I thought psychology was really boring. I did not enjoy computational applied maths, not even one bit, and I really didn't enjoy my maths subjects. So literally only a quarter of the subjects I was doing I actually enjoyed, that I was spending so much time studying for subjects that I didn't like, but at the end of the day, you don't have a choice in university to do that. Last semester, I had computer networks. Computer networks is the most boring thing to me. I have absolutely no interest in computer networks, not even a little bit. And I still kind of don't really understand some of the concepts I learned anyway. But at the end of the day, I had to do that course in order to get into final year. So if you're going to drop and change subjects just because you don't like it, you're going to realize that that's only going to take you so far and that in university you might really struggle. At the end of the day, your last 3 years of high school are a journey, you guys. Literally, as I'm telling you, I really struggled in grade 10. So my grades were not the best. I was getting 60s in a lot of tests, and I was able to get those marks up to like the B's and A's. Some were A's, some were B's in grade 11, and they were a little bit more presentable to my African parents. And then obviously in matric, I got 7 distinctions. So it's not like if you're getting 60s now that you're going to get 60s forever. It all comes down to how hard you work. So if you're dropping a subject simply because you don't like it, that's not going to take you very far. If you're dropping a subject because you simply cannot pass it, then that's a different situation. I would also just like to point out that in grade 8 and 9, I started to pick up on the fact that I was not good at science. Like, science is just not my thing, bio is not my thing. Like, I really struggled in those subjects, and so going into grade 10, 11, and 12, I told my parents and they were fine with me not doing any sciences. However, when I got to WITS, guess what? I had to do psychology, and one of our modules was basically like to do with the brain and some biology stuff. There were diagrams, there was science stuff. I really still don't understand it, and it was like one of those courses where it was my lowest mark that entire year. I think I like barely passed, like I got a 50 something, and the rest of my psychology marks were like above 80. So it just goes to show you, like, I avoided the science in high school, but I still had to meet it in university. Even in my first year of computational and applied maths, one of the blocks we had to do mechanics, which was, yeah, it was like motion, I don't know, physical science stuff, guys. I really still don't understand it. We even had to do like some astronomy with it, and yeah, that was the first test that I failed in university. And I managed to salvage my marks for finals, but literally that was the first test I had failed at university. So yeah, you can really only avoid things for so long. My next tip is don't overwhelm yourself. Don't be an overachiever. Doing 11 subjects is crazy. Unless you're just super smart and everything comes to you naturally, I would honestly say that it is so overrated to do more than 9 subjects. At the end of the day, when you're applying to universities, UCT only looks at your top 6 subjects. WITS only looks at your top 7 subjects, including LO. So really doing 11 subjects is not really going to do anything, because when you get your 11 distinctions, you're still going to be on the same page of the newspaper that the rest of us were at with our 7 distinctions. So it doesn't really do anything. I would say only do extra subjects if you're just trying to broaden your scope. So if you're just trying to make sure that you have a couple of subjects so that you can kind of choose your degree more freely, then yeah, maybe that makes sense. But I still think more than 9 is not necessary. I did 8 subjects and I cannot, honest to God, imagine doing a 9th one, because I don't think I would have gotten some of the higher marks that I got. I feel like my high 80s would have then been like lower 80s because of an extra subject, which wasn't really necessary for me to do in the first place. So yeah, in my personal opinion, don't overwhelm yourself. The next thing I want to let you guys know is that picking your high school subjects is just you planning for your first year of university. This is not a lifetime commitment, okay? This is just a stepping stone towards the rest of your life. It doesn't mean that if you pick subjects that have to do with computer science that you're going to go to university and you're going to do computer science and then you're going to have a job where you're doing computer science. At the end of the day, I picked my subjects best suited for accounting. Then I decided to go and do computer science, and now I don't even want to do computer science as a job. So realistically, it's very few people that stick to a dream that they had when they were 14 or 15 years old. Okay, so please, this is not a marriage, this is not a lifelong commitment, this is just a stepping stone. I know so many people I was in first year computer science with that ended up deciding that it was not for them and went off to do property studies, or some people realized that they really like psychology. I don't know why, but they did, and they ended up going into psychology. Like, you don't have to have your whole life planned out at such a young age. I'm 20 and I feel like I'm young, and I feel like I do not have to have my life planned out at this point. I really don't, guys. I'm really honestly winging it. I have no idea what I'm gonna do when I graduate. I'm just being honest with you. I feel like with social media and this day and age, everyone is just putting on this facade of having their life together and, you know, being successful and all this stuff. And the reality of the situation is that a lot of us, we don't know what we're doing either, that we are also just winging it. So if at my age I don't really know what I'm doing, then no one can expect you at your age to know exactly what you're doing. So be patient with yourself. Even when you do your degree, that's you planning for your first job, maybe your first and second job. It doesn't necessarily mean that people who finish doing computer science do anything in the computer science field. I think I said this in another video. My dad studied computer science at university and he works at a bank. He doesn't do any coding, really doesn't do anything that his computer science degree taught him, and his life moves on. So please do not stress yourself out over this and feel like you have to have your whole life planned out. You really don't. Just follow the previous steps so that you can make the best decision for yourself and to give yourself more opportunities. Then this is something I read online which I just thought was so profound. A career is developed, not chosen. All of these things that we're doing, our subjects in high school, our degrees at university, all of these things are building us up and developing us and allowing us to know ourselves better. So now we're going to know what we like and what we don't like, what we're good at and what we're not good at. And all of that is developing ourselves to find a career in the future. It doesn't necessarily mean that you choose a career and ABC goes as planned. Sometimes you're going to have to chop and change. Sometimes you're going to have to be flexible. But at the end of the day, all of these choices are going to lead you in the right direction. Or at least that's what I hope, guys. I hope that we are all patient and that we keep our options open and that we develop ourselves until we figure out what we want to do. We're too young to be stressing about what we're going to do in the next 40 years. So yes, this is a big decision and your school is going to tell you that this is a big decision. But as I said before, it's not a lifelong commitment. It's not a marriage. Just take it one step at a time. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are in grade 9 and you have chosen your subjects or you're choosing them, comment down below what you want to do. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to join the C Squad, and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload new videos. I post every Wednesday and Sunday at 5 p.m. London time. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!